A king is only a king because of the domain, because of the piece of land he rules over. You can't be a king and not have land. In the literal sense, Adam and Eve, Adam was king of a piece of land called the garden. In the spiritual sense, the Bible calls Jesus the King of Kings. In the spiritual sense, he is supposed to be the king of the physical body of a human being. And you and me are supposed to be the king of the assignments that were given to us. That's why the Bible calls your body a temple of the Holy Spirit. So that's where the king lives. A king is only a king because of the land he owns. So the Holy Spirit owns this land. It becomes the kingdom. That's why Jesus Christ said that the kingdom is within you, within the physical body. But the kingdom is actually nothing but the influence of the king. So when Jesus says to his 12, he says, go there, go out there, go to the lost sheep of the people of Israel. Don't go to Gentile territory, don't go to Samaritan territory. But when you go there, you must preach the kingdom of heaven is near, meaning the influence of the king is now close by. It is here. You can now have access to the influence. You can now yield yourself to the influence of the king. So whenever you hear the term kingdom, you must think of the fact that a king can't have a kingdom. A king can't be a king without a kingdom. And a kingdom is actually the king's influence in a specific piece of land. So Jesus says to them, go and preach, the influence is near. That's the kingdom. He says, go and preach, the kingdom is near. And then he says, heal the sick, bring the dead back to life. Heal those who suffer from dreaded skin diseases and drive out demons. He says, you have received without paying, so give without being paid. He says, you have received without paying, so give without being paid. You have received without paying, give without being paid. Jesus says, this is indeed an act of service that does not come with an immediate reward. Do not desire an immediate reward from what you are doing now. This is an act of service to humanity. But now, here's an interesting thing here. When Jesus says, go and preach, the kingdom of heaven is near, he says, heal the sick, bring the dead back to life. What did we say the kingdom was? The kingdom is the influence of God in the physical body of a human being. So now Jesus is saying, tell them that the kingdom is near. And because of this kingdom, because of this influence, you have the ability to heal the sick. You have the ability to drive out demons. You have the ability to lay hands on those who have died and bring them back to life. Why? How? The kingdom. As we proceed with the Bible study, you'll hear Jesus saying that the kingdom is for the poor, the kingdom is for the sick, the kingdom is for the oppressed. There's a reason. Now, the first thing a king does when he takes over a certain piece of land and he colonizes it, what does he do? He starts off by bringing the culture from where he is from. The first thing you do, you change the language. You start bringing the culture of the place where you are from. The culture of the kingdom of heaven is that people are healed. The culture of the kingdom of heaven is that people live. The culture of the kingdom of heaven is literally hidden in what Jesus said they must go and do. Because now it shows everyone else that there's a certain shift in the spirit. There's a certain presence in the spirit. So he says, by the power of this kingdom that has come upon you, heal the sick, drive out demons, heal dreaded skin disease, bring back to life those who have died. So how did the disciples bring back to life those who have died? Because of the influence of who? The king. It can only be a kingdom because of a king. You can't call a piece of land with no king a kingdom. It's still land, but without a king, it can't be a kingdom. It only becomes a kingdom because of the king, the presence of the king. The king makes it a kingdom. So now he says, do not carry any gold, silver, or copper money in your pockets. Do not carry a beggar's bag for the journey, or an extra shirt, or shoes, or a stick. Workers should be given what they need. Jesus said, just start. You don't have to worry where you are going to sleep. You don't have to worry about what you are going to eat on the way. He says, it's an act of faith when you step into service. All you have to do this morning is surrender. What are you surrendering to? To the influence of the king. Then Jesus says, you are now entering the kingdom. By surrendering to the influence of the king, by surrendering to the influence of Christ, by surrendering to the influence of God, you are stepping into the kingdom. When you step into the kingdom, he says, don't worry about packing supplies for the journey. You will be taken care of. I have seen this in my life. I've seen people showing up when I need them, but did not tell them that I needed them. When you are about your father's business, your father will take care of you. Now, your father's business is not preaching only. Do not be confused. You are not a pastor, you are not a prophet, you are not a teacher. So yours has nothing to do with teaching, but yours has everything to do with what you were sent here to do. Some here, yes, are pastors. Some here are prophets. Some here are teachers. But some here are just musicians. All they are sent here to do is just sing. Some here are public servants. Some here are nurses. So focus on what it is that you were sent to do and do it as best as you possibly can. Whatever it is, give it your absolute best. So Jesus says, don't worry about packing extra things. You will be taken care of where you are going. That's an act of faith. When God gives you an assignment this morning, we worry too much about, but how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? I need this. I need that. But God says, no, I'm sending you. So if I'm sending you, you don't need to have anything. Just go into the world and do what I sent you to do. If you believe God is sending you, then do not doubt. Go out there and do what you are sent to do.